Hey mama, welcome to the Mosaic Mom Life podcast, where we help moms just like you discover your purpose and build a life you love. I'm Laura Stuffelbaum Holt, a wife, mom, and career coach for stay-at-home moms who want to confidently transition back into the working world. See, we all have these random, seemingly scattered pieces of our lives that make up who we are. And especially as stay-at-home moms, it's tempting to see that as nothing more than a pile of junk that hasn't amounted to much of anything. But that's not how God sees it. He sees a beautiful mosaic. Each fractured piece of your life has a specific placement and purpose in His design. Romans 8:28 says that we know that all things work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to His purpose. So, let's take Him at His word and confidently dive into the incredible Mosaic Mom life He is piecing together just for you. Here we go. Hey mama, we are back with a new episode. This is installment number 2 in our series about the personalities. If you did not get to listen to part 1, where we talked about all of the visible pieces of the personality puzzle, be sure to go back and watch that episode. Today we are moving on to the valuable pieces, the strengths and the weaknesses that are associated with each of these 4 different personality types. So we're combining what we know about the visible clues, what we can look out and see and experience in the people around us and in ourselves. And now we're going to take a look at what makes all of those different personality types so valuable in the body of Christ, in our work, in our families. These are what make us just incredibly awesome and unique individuals. So let's dive in. Just like last week, I'm going to start with the popular sanguine, not because they're more important than anybody else, but just because they are the easiest to identify and they like going first. So we're just going to let them go first. So we talk about the popular sanguine. What are the strengths of the popular sanguine? The popular sanguine is the people person. A popular sanguine they're all about being the people. My youngest, like I've said, is a popular sanguine. She runs around saying that everyone she meets is her new best friend. The child has never met a stranger. Everyone is her new best friend, and she will tell you everything that's on her mind, whether you want to hear it or not. She is very bubbly, very charming, and all of those pieces can kind of get her into trouble. So while the popular sanguine is a bubbly, charming people person, they can also be slightly naive and struggle with follow through. So while my 4-year-old is adorable, running up to strangers and telling them all the things that they never wanted to know about her life, it's a little naive to think that she can just run up to a stranger anytime she wants and start talking to them. So we have to learn about boundaries early with our popular sanguines, not to scare them, but just to make sure that they stay safe. The lack of follow-through piece can also be a problem with our popular sanguines, just because that's not fun. The popular sanguine is all about making life fun. And if it's not fun, I don't want to do it. So these are the popular sanguines. People, bubbly, charming, but can be kind of naive and struggle with the follow-through. Second type we're talking about is the perfect melancholy. And if you remember from last week, the popular sanguine and the perfect melancholy are complete and total opposites. So where the popular sanguine is a people person, the perfect melancholy is a detail person. They are organized and detail-oriented to the nth degree. My dad is a phenomenal radiologist. He is the one you want reading your x-rays because he does not miss a thing. He is so detail-oriented and so zeroed in on the teeny tiny little pieces of your x-ray, your CAT scan, your MRI, your PET scan, whatever. He's not going to miss anything. So he's a phenomenal radiologist, but it's kind of hard to shop with him because he's so detail-oriented and wants to make sure that everything is done perfectly. So all of these strengths and weaknesses are just opposite sides of the same coin. So detail people are phenomenal for certain things and not so great at other things, just like the popular sanguine. Being a bubbly, charming people person is great in one sense, but being naive and struggling with follow through on the other hand is hard. So, two sides of the same coin for all of these types. The perfect melancholy, detail oriented, organized. I had a pocket on my backpack in high school, and it was the calculator pocket. Anytime I pulled my calculator out, it went right back into that pocket. Every one of my friends knew where my calculator was. My mom knew where my calculator was. And when somebody needed to borrow my calculator and I was not around, she could go get it for them because she knew exactly where it was. Everything in its place and a place for everything, right? So there are benefits to being organized. The perfect melancholies are also very talented. They're very artistic. And that's not to say the other types are not, but the perfect melancholies come at it from this really deep place. My brother is incredibly musically talented, artistically talented in just about every form he touches. He can pick up any instrument and play it. He can dabble in whatever artistic medium he wants, and it comes out looking amazing. I do not have exactly that particular talent, but because perfect melancholies want everything to be perfect, they take those talents and those artistic bents to the nth degree, and they go really deep with them. Because the perfect melancholy wants everything to be perfect, they are going to struggle with being perfectionistic. It's where the word comes from, right? I told you in the last episode, I am probably about 50% perfect melancholy, and I definitely have super high standards for myself and therefore tend to impose them on everybody else around me. And that's not realistic. I can have really high expectations for myself, but when I expect everyone else to be perfect, I am always going to be disappointed. No one is perfect. I am not perfect, and I get annoyed with myself because I'm not perfect. So we tend to also become moody and depressed because life just isn't perfect. But that's the perfect melancholy. They are detail people, they are organized, talented, artistic, and they can struggle with being perfectionistic, moody, and depressed. Third easiest to recognize type, just as in the last episode, are the powerful choleric. These are your natural born leaders. They are goal oriented. So my youngest brother is very strongly powerful choleric. And when he was 5, he stood at the top of the stairs, hands on his fists in that, classic choleric body language, yelled down the stairs, "I just want to be boss and nobody will let me." I am waiting for the day when my youngest child says that exact same thing, because she is also quite strongly powerful choleric, in addition to being popular sanguine. So they're natural born leaders. They are goal oriented. They are extremely productive. And when you combine that goal oriented nature with their drive to be productive, you end up with Officer Hop from Zootopia. Have you watched that movie with your kids yet? If you have not, it's another great one. Highly recommend. But this little, energetic, happy-go-lucky bunny wants to be a cop. And there are no cop bunnies. But she does it. She works hard and she becomes a cop, and her captain assigns her to be a meter maid. And she does not want to be a meter maid, but she's going to do it to the best of her ability anyway. So her captain says he wants 100 tickets by the end of the day. And Officer Hop says, "I'll have 200 by noon." Goal-oriented and productive. So the powerful cholerics, like I talked about last week, are just super intense. They're natural born leaders. They're goal-oriented. They're productive. And because they have this really intense, powerful nature, they also can struggle with coming across as bossy because they know what to do. they know what to do. They know how to get us there. So why don't we just follow their lead and do what they tell us to do? This is the whole reason that my oldest daughter learned personalities at 9 years old. She had found friends in the neighborhood, and just like with any group of young children, there are going to be leaders and there's going to be followers. And this particular group had several powerful choleric personalities in there, and they all wanted to be boss at the same time. And she kept coming in super frustrated that nobody would listen to her ideas because everybody wanted to tell everybody else what to do. And so we had to learn about personalities and how to handle interacting with personality types that can come across as bossy, and they can sound like they really like to argue. But as my youngest brother says, they're not arguments, they are competitive discussions. Because we're going to put a positive spin on this whole liking to argue thing. Because they really don't see it as arguing. They just see it as having a really intense conversation where everybody believes really strongly about what they believe, and that's fun. It is not so fun for the other personality types, but for the powerful choleric, a competitive discussion is, a good way to spend the day. So that's your powerful choleric. Natural born leaders, goal-oriented, productive, but they can like to argue and might come across as a little bossy. Fourth type are the peaceful phlegmatics. These are your natural born peacemakers. We have an incredible woman at our church that's in charge of the nursery, and she's very peaceful phlegmatic. And she can get in the middle of two squabbling toddlers who are fighting over the same toy, and she can just get down on their level and she can talk to them and be really calming and soothing and can speak really reasonably to toddlers. I mean, I can't even imitate the way that she is able to speak to these young children who are just throwing absolute fits, but she can get in the middle of it and it just kind of goes, peace. Like, she just makes peace out of chaos. And it is a skill that I do not have. I so greatly appreciate her for having that skill. So peaceful phlegmatics, natural born peacemakers. They are very content. They are very patient. Whatever you want, if you ask them, where do you want to go to lunch? What do you want to do this weekend? And they say, oh, whatever you want. Don't even bother arguing. Whatever you want really is fine with them. It really and truly is. They just don't care. They care about a select handful of things. And if it does not fall into that category, whatever you want is fine. They are totally content to run with whatever you want to do. It absolutely drove me crazy with my friends in high school and with my husband now. That inability to have an opinion just drove me nuts. But like I said, it's just a byproduct of them being content, being really patient. They can also come across as unenthusiastic. Like I said, they're not having an opinion drove me nuts. In general, they can just come across as rather unenthusiastic. I went to my first personality training event, was actually on public speaking, but all the coaches stood up in the front and they all introduced themselves and told what their personality type was. And then we get to the very last guy, and he stands there with his hands in his pockets, rocking back and forth on his heels, and says, "Hi, my name is Chuck. I'm a peaceful phlegmatic, and I'm happy to be here. You just can't tell." And we all just died. They have a very dry sense of humor, so they come across as unenthusiastic, but like I said, they have a handful of things they really care about. It just is not going to be everything that you care about. So they can also have what we call a quiet will of iron, where the powerful choleric is going to have a competitive discussion and convince you why their way is right. If the peaceful phlegmatic does not agree with you, they're not going to waste their energy arguing with you. That's pointless. Why would they want to argue with you? They'll never be able to out-argue a powerful choleric. So they have developed what's called a quiet will of iron. And this plays out a lot where, let's say I ask my husband to do something and he doesn't want to do that. He will either look at me and say, "Okay, and put it off indefinitely, or just ignore the request entirely, he's not going to fight with me about it. There's just going to be either a blank look or no reaction. That quiet will of iron says, I'm going to dig my heels in, smile at you, and say whatever you want while I go do whatever I wanted to do to start with. No point arguing. I'm just going to ignore it. They have a quiet will of iron. So these are our peaceful phlegmatics. Natural born peacemakers, super content, very patient, can come across as unenthusiastic, and they have this quiet will of iron. So those are the 4 types, and they're valuable pieces. You've got your popular sanguine, your perfect melancholy, your powerful choleric, your peaceful phlegmatic. They all have incredible strengths. They all have weaknesses that they need to overcome in different areas, but we are all part of one body. Romans 12:4-6a says, for just as each of us has one body with many members, and these members do not all have the same function, so in Christ we, though many, form one body, and each member belongs to all the others. We have different gifts according to the grace given to each of us. So we have these different strengths and weaknesses on purpose so that we can be part of one body. We have gifts that make us valuable to our families, to the work that we do, to the body of Christ in general. We wouldn't want everybody to be the same, or we'd be a monster instead of a body. So let's think about all these different personality types as part of one body. We've got the popular sanguines, and the popular sanguines kind of function as the mouth of the body. Remember, they have an open mouth. They're going to talk all the time. They are loud. They have no qualms about being loud. They are the spokesperson for the body. If you need somebody to get up front and rally the troops, talk to your popular sanguines. They have no problem being the mouthpiece. Your perfect melancholies function as the head. These are your deep thinkers, the problem solvers. They're going to run through the problems and make sure they've got the right solution to keep everybody moving forward. The powerful cholerics then function as the feet. They're actually going to literally move everybody forward, directing us toward a purpose. They are going to get everybody moving. The peaceful phlegmatics are going to function as the hands. They are serving, they are keeping things running smoothly. But if we had a body made up of all mouths, that would be one very loud monster. If we had a body made up entirely of hands, or entirely of feet, or entirely of heads, it wouldn't be a body, it would be a monster. We don't need that. We need all the different parts to function together. When I first started doing presentations on the personalities and teaching about it to groups, my mom made up this poem for me. She said, sanguines, make sure it's fun. Cholerics, make sure it gets done. Melancholies, make sure it's right. And phlegmatics, make sure we don't fight. So if you ever needed to know how the personalities all kind of work together, that's it. We all have different valuable pieces that we bring to the body to make it function properly. So what I want you to do now is think back to last week's episode. Think about the visible pieces that we talked about. What kind of personality type did you decide you might be? What might be the personality types of your husband or your kids or your coworkers or, well, most of us don't have coworkers, but people in your church. Looking at the people around you, what personality types might you be dealing with? Then think about these new pieces that we're adding to the puzzle, the valuable pieces, their strengths and their weaknesses. Add those into the puzzle for yourself and for those in your sphere of influence. Is your guess as to their personality type now the same as it was last week? Or did this new information say, oh man, I thought they were popular sanguine, but maybe they're actually powerful choleric? This whole personality typing system is always going to be a guess unless you actually go take the profile. If you want to do that, you can always go to thepersonalities.com. You can take the online version. There are paper profiles on Amazon, I believe, that are available for purchase. I'll see if I can get that link for you. But it's always going to be a guess, and that's okay. We can take educated guesses. We can look at the visible clues. We can look at the valuable clues and say, I am probably dealing with XYZ type, and we can go from there. So that's why this is so important. Again, it's all about relationships. And for us as stay-at-home moms who are thinking about going back to the working world, it's all about figuring out ourselves, how we function in the world, and what we have to offer because of how we were designed, how we were created to be. So your homework for this week is to keep practicing identifying types around you. Look at your family members, look at your friends, look at your church members, look at random people walking through Target and say, what personality type might that person be based on these clues that I'm piecing together? So keep practicing. And then next episode, we'll be talking about the vital pieces of each personality type. And those vital pieces are the emotional needs that correspond with each type. Each type has an emotional need set that is just absolutely critical for all of us learning to work well together, to function as a body. So that's going to be a really good episode. If you're struggling with anybody, if you just are having relational issues and you're like, I know this is a personality issue, we just keep clashing, the emotional needs episode is going to be so good for you. So stay tuned for that episode, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for taking time to hang out with me today. I hope you'll continue to discover new pieces of your Mosaic Mom life each week. Do you have a question you'd like me to tackle for you in an upcoming episode? If so, be sure to send me a quick voicemail message. I'd love to hear your voice for a change and know exactly how to be praying with and for you this week. Head over to scatteredwoman.com/voicemail to leave that message. Also, if you've got a quick minute between those never-ending snack requests from your kiddos, I'd love for you to leave a quick review on the Mosaic Mom Life page on Apple Podcasts. Those reviews really help other moms find the show, discover their purpose, and start building a life they'll love too. That's all for now. Be sure to check back next week for our next episode, and I'll be talking with you again soon.